Morning series, I'm Eric Urias and welcome to a very quick update to my last video. So if you didn't know, in my last video, which you should actually go watch, I went over a bunch of Genesys techs that would help you beat Nibiru in Dark Ruler. And there were a couple of oversights, mainly about Aerial Ether banishing stuff, which it was not allowed to. I just forgot what this card did, I just went by my gut. I also made a massive oversight, that being forgetting that Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon has an effect outside of the revive, which is extremely important to beat Nibiru because, well, just by virtue of playing one singular Exodec quote-unquote brick in Stardust Dragon, you get to beat Nibiru for free, basically, in any line that's able to get into Axel Stardust, which is a lot of lines. Level 8 is one of the easiest levels to make with Earthbound, not only because you have an archetypal 3 plus an archetypal 5 and Vision plus Gremlina, but you also can just the archetypal 1 and the archetypal 5 into Rusiela, into Azamina LZ, and that gets you an 8. And speaking of Rusiela and LZ, the 1-card combo can also make use of this to be completely immune to Nibiru, which is extremely nice. And so, let's just get into the combo, showcase the 1-card combo before we get into just a random test stand. So, let's get evenly matched, why not? And I forgot Nibiru actually, never mind. Womp womp. Nibiru. There we go. Also, a lot of you have been asking me for a replay video, which I've been trying to work on that, but the replays I've been getting are just not fun in the slightest. I know fun isn't the main thing here, but the more plays I make, the more interesting things I put into a replay that you guys can learn from, the better. And I don't want to give you just my wins, because sometimes I just draw so well that there is no game to be played, there is no outplays, there is nothing for you to learn outside of just the YouTube combo sheet, which is the last thing I want to do since I changed my style from just the replay videos into a lot of guides actually. So yeah, that's gonna take a little bit, and because that video is getting delayed, I suppose I could call this a slight apology for said video being late. I'm working on it. I'm working on a couple of replays. I'm hoping I eventually find something that I think is cool enough to share. And also, I've been working on the Chimera video, but that's gonna be likely releasing guaranteed at the end of January. And if it doesn't release at the end of January, you can, I don't know, call me cringe. Anyways, back into the combo. A keeper always revive sweeper, remember, unless you have a yugioh guaranteed in rotation, in which case you're gonna be summoning it from deck so that you have more fuel for next turn. And it's not relevant here, you just want to summon it from grave during the 1-card combo, but if you ever have yugioh in rotation, always summon sweeper from deck, even if you already used it earlier. And this is important for follow-up. It's mostly important for builds that are playing Gremlin. In this case, I'm not. You could swap out Aerial Ether for Gremlin, but still, having more access to your best cards during these sorts of combos is essential for minor optimizations, which is always what you want to go for. You might think that's try-hardy, but that's just playing decently at the best of your abilities. It's basically nothing once you get the hang of it and keep track of these minor things. Anyways, I forgot about the Nibiru counter. This is 4 summons now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's get into Stardust, which is the 5th summon. Here we will chainlink 1 Stardust, chainlink 2 LZ. And now your opponent could technically Nibiru, but that's 99% of the time not what's gonna happen. Because unless your opponent is just stupid or something, they will know that if they use Nibiru and remove Stardust, you will be able to summon Keeper, and even if they don't know what Earthbound does, they just completely are unaware of what's gonna happen, they know that keeping a tuner on board after you Nibiru is never a good idea. Especially a level 1 tuner, because you can go into a level 12, but even if not, you still are very much able to play extension and such. So most opponents are not gonna Nibiru you in this instance. So we're just not gonna do that. And instead, let's get Sinful Spoils White Forest from our deck. This could be a Sinful Spoils of Slumber Morian, which could guarantee you an additional disruption, but the brick is kind of annoying. So you can play it, it's optional, it's perfectly fine, perfectly valid. I just hate bricks. Which is funny because we're playing LZ, but LZ is such a good card that you cannot pass it up. And here we're gonna pass turn. Yes, to play around Nibiru, we just pass turn and use Stardust, Axel Stardust in draw phase to dodge Dark Ruler mainly, but also just, I don't know, I suppose this dodges something else. And you're gonna Croco on their draw phase, and that's it. So the reason you pass on this instead of directly making Croco Dragon, saving the Stardust Dragon for later maybe, is very simply because they can Nibiru you on the Croco Dragon, and now you're screwed. And if you use on an open game state Access Stardust, and they can just remove Keeper and you pass on Stardust, which isn't necessarily threatening without anything else on board. And well, if your opponent has Nibiru, they would have very likely used it by now. Especially on declaration of end phase. Like this is usually not just bait. And your opponent will walk into this. Like for us, it's likely gonna be bait for them. For us, okay, so when we're playing it, in this case, it's gonna be bait. But usually end phasing with this, no wait, when you're end phasing with this board, it's definitely bait. So they're likely not gonna take it and just keep Nibiru in hand. But if they do Nibiru because they really don't want you to get your level 9 on board, they can declare Nibiru, you will declare Stardust, summon Stardust, sorry, Axel into Stardust, I hate this. Summon Croco, and they will keep Nibiru in hand, which is annoying, but it is what it is. So, and it's not the end of the world, honestly, because if you have Yugioh, which hopefully you draw into it, and get, say, Mutiny around, you will be able to summon Luce, and Luce is really strong in simplified game states, which your hand traps in hand, because this is a one-card combo after all. If you don't have hand traps and you only have bricks, I'm sorry, good luck, buddy. But in this case, having a simplified game state because of hand traps and because of the Croco Dragon, and having Luce in rotation, you're gonna be able to play through Nibiru really well. And even if you don't have a Bouillon Luce in rotation, if you play your cards well, the Nibiru in their hand is just gonna be a dead card. Earthbound can perfectly adapt fine, especially if you're playing Gremlin. The more I think about it, the more I want to remove Aerial Eater for Gremlin. I could remove Legaria for Gremlin, but also Legaria or Vengeance Dragon are mandatory in this format because Cool Tune, Red Seal, just screws over your level so much that you do require an even high level monster that's not levelizable to go into. It is what it is. Also worth noting, I think, would be I4Gore. Well, there isn't much else to say other than mid combo, this can be used very effectively. Let's just, I don't know, send a bunch of cards to the grave. Actually, no, let's perform a proper damn combo. So, we're gonna start Walker. Dueling Book, please be useful. Ah, yeah, 17 card hand, by the way, that's great. Okay, so you want to start Walker instead of Keeper here because Booyah. If they bell you on Walker, if they bell you on Keeper, you just cannot do anything with Booyah. But if they bell you on Walker, you can still summon Booyah, go into Rusiela, go into Gremlina, everything from there. Minor optimization, but always remember, the better sequencing you do, the better of a player you will become. And well, the better your chances of winning, very simply. Get Sweeper, summon Booyah. This basically plays around Nibiru if they shotgun it, I suppose. You're gonna go into Rusiela, yoink. Get into... Oh yeah, you want Keeper in Grave so that Axel Stardust is actually live, which is important to mention here. You summon LZ. Get into Stardust. Now, wouldn't be the worst place to Nibiru. No, it is a horrible place to Nibiru actually. You have plenty of access to Gremlina, and yeah, and also have a bunch of resources. So that's not great for your opponent. Access Stardust, go into Keeper. From here, you want to keep a tuner always in rotation, always on board, so that you can do the Stardust shuffle. Here we're gonna go into Symphos Poison White Forest. I think we're gonna be eating... I think it's Booyah plus Nova. Yeah. Booyah plus Nova into... What am I doing? Into Gremlina. Chaining 1 Gremlina. Chaining 2 Booyah. Get Mutiny. Get Sweeper. Sweeper effect. Go into Vision. So basically here, no matter what they do, no matter when the Nibiru, you can always declare Stardust, get into the other one, then synchro off, say, these two for Croco Dragon. Duelenbuck, it would be very nice if you didn't lag. There we go. And then both Stardust and Croco Dragon will be unaffected by Nibiru, so they will only remove Keeper. You get the token also, which is really nice actually for us. Depending on the situation, I suppose. And then you can still Mutiny, you can do whatever from there. Which is horrible for them. You do want to keep Stardust. The reason also that you want to keep Stardust and use something else as material is because, well, everything else is going to be sent, everything else is going to be tributed anyways. You might as well use them to get a little bit additional value before they're gone. And Stardust Dragon being on board does contest, say, Raigeki, say, Final Bringer. It is extremely niche, but the more things you play around, the better. From here, we're gonna go Vision, Griffin, into Vision, into Gaia, effect to get Nova. You have Griffin, you have whatever you want, basically. We're gonna Griffin to get a Gremlina. Sync these off for Dragster. You really do want to keep track of your extra deck here, by the way. If I use the Keeper, sorry, if I use the Walker plus Gremlina, that would have meant, for Croco Dragon, that would have meant Axel Stardust would not have any targets, which would just kill me instantly from there. You could say, you could go Keeper, yeah, no, Walker plus Griffin for Juraishin, that keeps Keeper for Croco. But I really do like to have a Griffin alongside Gremlina, so that I can use it to go into Gremlina or Keeper into Walker to get an additional discard for... I don't know why I said discard like that. To get an additional discard for Croco Dragon, which the more, the less resources you eat, the better, of course. So, like, you might as well. You get an additional draw here of a Croco. Then, from here, you can just go into Miorini. Shuffle back Gremlina and a Sweeper. Make Kragen. Right. Yeah, you make Kragen. Yeah, here comes a little dilemma. Do you want to make Jiraishin right here, right now? Well, it doesn't really matter actually. You can just make it on the opponent's turn. But like my brain, it's so focused on I gotta make it right now. It doesn't really matter here. I actually think. Oh, what am I doing? That's the wrong card. So I think shuffling Gremlina was a misplay because you have so little space. You are gonna be making Juraishin during the opponent's turn. Thank you, motorcycles outside my house. That's very nice. On the opponent's turn, you're gonna be making Juraishin, which also sacrifices itself. But the additional flexibility of having Gremlina in the grave is not to be underestimated, honestly. I would shuffle Sweeper here. It's the least relevant of the targets in grave. And you can get it back off of Gremlina anyways, so it's fine. So here you have 3 Disrupts and a Nova for follow-up, you have a Mutiny for follow-up, you have Griffin for follow-up. Everything just gets you so much follow-up, and you get an additional draw, which was Final Bringer, which is excellent. You get... I mean, everything is a destruction, and you weren't able to make Dragster, which is annoying. Although, actually, I think you could have used the Keeper plus Gremlina to make Dragster. Then, if they Nibiru you there, you Axel Stardust. Use Walker plus Griffin to go into Juraishin. And that's perfectly fine from there. No, yeah, actually. Yeah. I could have just... Yeah, that was really a really free Dragster that would have given me a little more flexibility into, say, exactly power spells. Which, to be fair, is really important. Yeah. And also, Griffin is slightly less important if you don't have Croco Dragon around, so that's also a little additional thing to keep in mind. There's a lot of fun stuff to be done with Axel Stardust into Stardust Dragon. Like, I do feel like it's such good skill expression to be able to make sure everything is perfectly fine, to play around everything you can. Plus, this is just a really good way to play through Nibiru and Dark Ruler. Dark Ruler just a little bit, because you make either Juraishin or Croco Dragon, and by itself they're not the greatest, but something is better than nothing, and it's... I don't know, this deck is so cool, and I'm a little bit frustrated that I did not catch it earlier to be able to share it in the Megayap. Like, typically I would have waited until 3 months from now, so in March, to make another Megayap including this, but this deck is way too important to skip skip out on. I needed to make a video on this to have you people know how to play through Nibiru a little bit more, and to, well, have an idea that this tag even exists. And to finish up the video, we might as well add the Gremlin. He deserves it. I've mentioned him so many times to be useful, but he just got stuck in the limbo of just not being playable enough to be included. I do feel like Aerial Ether is just so good to access Booyah though. Screw it. Let's get him here. There we go. I'll eventually just optimize this as hard as I can to include Aerial Ether and Gremlin eventually, because, well, Gremlin is still a really strong card to include in Genesys. So, yeah, that's the end of the video, really. This tech is just so cool. I really like it. And I suppose I should mention this is my deck list for this format. You play non-fusion area in spite of playing fusion cards, because this kills Dracotail. You can still play through this card because Harmonic and Nova do not fusion summon. They special summon from the extra deck. They summon fusion monsters from the extra deck, but they do not explicitly mention fusion summons, which is really important to mention, and that screws your opponent over so hard. Vanadium reframing is also something I am trying to experiment with. You could play Gravity Collapse, which is a really strong card on paper, but this does barely anything against a good Dracotail player. And well, reframing is really good into Dracotail. You struggle a lot into Dracotail, so you might as well play this. And overall, just an Omni-Negate for Dark Ruler and whatever it is always nice to have. Nothing else to say about my other attacks outside of Evenly, which is strong against both Kultune and Dracotail. They can play through it a little bit, but this is basically the best tech to have if you have enough points for it. It's also the reason I'm not playing Guardian Chimera, which I usually would be playing in Pure. You could, I suppose, cut Dragster and Moonlit Shell, but Dragster is way too important into Dracotail and whatnot. Okay, I'm rambling far too much. You could probably figure out the rest. It's very simple. It's not complicated. So that's gonna be the end of the video. I'm gonna be working on a couple of matches, just grinding out games until I get really good replays to share with you. And also, after I edit out this video, I'm gonna be working again on my Chimera video script, which the more I'm working on it, the more I'm starting to enjoy the variant. Less playing the variant, because the variant isn't that good actually. It's fun. It's just not that strong, in my opinion. But it's such a neat piece of Earthbound deck building. It's really cool in the way you can play so many techs. Yeah, you have the choice of so many silly techs that I'm gonna just have a gigantic section. I think the tech section is probably gonna be the biggest section of the entire video actually, but I don't know, you'll eventually watch the video at the end of January, so, and I promise that to you. If that does not happen, you'll have the right to call me cringe. So that's gonna be it. Peace, see ya.